David has a question here. Should we aim to have food producing elements in all layers of the food forest? Won't the higher layers shade out the lower layers and make this difference once the food forest gets to a certain level of maturity? I get the idea of succession, but why then do we say a food forest mimics a natural forest if all the layers are formed by edible and support for edible species, and we intervene in so much? In tropical climates, it's well known that some species like coffee and cacao like the shade, but in other climates, I'm not so sure. I can find edible perennial species for every layer of a forest in the Mediterranean climate, but my doubt is whether they can coexist and be productive at the same time. Well, the answer is yes and no, David. Some areas, some things do shade out and they go to the edge of a forest, to the edge of a forest clearing. Some things particularly like the shade. In a cooler climate, there are a lot of berries that grow in the lower area. And by the way, it's not all food. Some of it's timber, some of it's fibre, some of it's craft, some of it's dyes, some of it's forage, some of it's fungi food. There's all kinds of stuff in a food forest. It's not just food. So there's many different elements. And yes, some things change. Canopy does take over, but it's entirely up to you. You can keep the canopy lower if you like. You can pollard your canopy trees. You can let it all layer itself. We do have coffee here as an understory. It's coming through pretty well, takes up the gap. It definitely wasn't here in full sun when it was all herbaceous cover crop, annuals, which have all mostly gone. And now our shrubs are going. We're speeding up succession by a sort of tuning and fiddling with it. It's not much work. Over a year, it's very little work. We can make it more work if you like. We can open up clearings. Small clearings, depends on your climate. You can definitely have larger clearings in a colder climate and smaller clearings in tropics, and the very smallest of clearings in the deserts and arid zones. Trees start to excel in the understory. Tamarillo there. You can see our tamarillo is starting to come ripe. Tree tomato. It loves a damp shade. I'm falling in a drainage ditch there. Mind out, Mr. Cameraman. So this one booms. In the last few years, we've had massive tamarillo years. Make a lot of chutney in those years. So it's definitely an understory that wasn't here before. So it's roundabouts and swings to the advantage of energy efficiency in relation to energy in to energy out. The least amount of work for the maximum amount of product over time. So and things evolve and change over time. You're definitely leaning away from annuals. There are a lot more perennials out here. And remember, Eric Tonesmeyer, mate of mine, Eric, he's in Holyoke, Massachusetts, which gets 2 feet of snow every single year. Now, Eric trialled 400 perennial vegetables on his 1/4 acre and settled on the best 300. I think he settled on the best 200 in the end. That's a large selection of perennials, a very large selection of perennials considering the cold climate, only because generally we don't think of it like that. We think, oh, tropics have all this diversity. No. There's plenty of diversity in the cold climates. It's just not generally sold. No, there's no difference to that in tropics either. There's a lot that we grow that don't get sold in the shops. We get the privilege of eating this massive diversity. I try and eat 20 different leaves a year if I can. Sorry, not a year, 20 different leaves a day, right? So every day I try and get a diversity of 20 different leaves. Of course, I could get all, precious here and start going, I can also grow avocados. But then this is where I live. I can't grow apples. I'd love to grow cherries, but I can't, but I can grow avocados, right? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The most precious fruit you can buy in Bali is an apple. Comes on a silk cushion, but they've got jackfruit and durians and rambutans and lychees and all that stuff. They haven't got apples. Everybody wants something they haven't got, but you just got to realize how much you can have in diversity, and there's no limit to climate. It's just a matter of working it out And you can have your little edgy systems, and you can remember, you can really extend edge, so you get plenty of it. So carry on and carry on discovering and enjoying that journey of design.